So I'm really excited to have gotten this, my fourth Grammy nomination for the album Break of Dawn. Of course, I won the Grammy Award 3 times in the past, but this Grammy nomination is really special for me because I believe that Break of Dawn is my best album ever, and I've put in my heart and soul into this album. And this album is all about mental wellness, something that is really important to address during our times. It's one of the biggest burdens that we are facing as a human species. And winning the Grammy for the first time was in 2015. I remember it was in February, and it was a great moment for me, simply because I'd never even imagined that winning a Grammy could ever be possible during our lifetime. You know, making independent music in India, and I used to watch the Grammys on television and never imagined that I would actually one day be on that stage or even be in the vicinity of that room. So actually winning the Grammy Award when I was 33 years old was an absolutely surreal experience, and I'll never forget that. And of course, after that, I won it 2 more times in 2022 and 23, and today we are here where I've been nominated for the 4th time. I believe that when it comes to the Grammys, it's a global recognition at the end of the day. In my opinion, it's the only global award when it comes to music. And when it comes to Indian artists, I think that a lot of Indian artists feel that in order to get global recognition, you have to sing in English, or you have to do pop music, which is more Western in nature, or hip hop music, which is more Western. But I believe this is not true, because the only Indian musicians who have gotten global recognition, whether it's the Grammys or on any other platform, are musicians who have made traditional Indian music, whether it is the classical forms of North Indian and South Indian classical music, or folk music from different parts of India. Because I believe that that these musicians are very honest, they're true to their roots. So all of us Indian musicians, if it's global recognition that we want, then we have to only dig deep into our own roots, figure out what is it that makes us uniquely Indian, create music based on that, create music based on topics that are dear to us, celebrating things that are dear to us as Indians. And I believe that if we are honest in our art, then the world will appreciate our music, and that will obviously lead to recognition and awards. So I love making music on the environment, because that is something that is very near and dear to me. Ever since I remember, I've always been an environmentalist along with being a musician, even before I knew what the meaning of environmentalist was. So there are, a lot of people tell me that, okay, so your music is based on the environment, so why don't you record sounds of nature, and put that into your music? But my answer to this question is always that, the best way to describe this is like if you're taking a picture of someone. So if I'm taking a photograph of someone, then I click a camera and I take a picture, and based on the current lighting conditions and the current background and all of that stuff, I get a absolute image of the person, a verbatim image, and that is on a photographic plate, and that is the photograph. But if I were to make a painting of that same person, then what happens is that it's a little bit open to interpretation, where I can get a little bit of the personality of the person into the painting, and that person's life experiences and my thoughts of the person can go into the painting, and that's why that's a more interpretative art form, and I love that. And it's the same with nature, where instead of recording the sounds of nature the way they are, I prefer being inspired by the sounds of nature and interpreting those sounds through various musical instruments like the bansuri or the sitar or the tabla or the veena or the human voice singing in Hindustani or Carnatic alaps. So that's what I do through my music. I interpret the sounds of nature, and I believe that brings about the most calming effect, and that's the best form of music that one can create. So of course, with all of your blessings, I'm hoping that I actually win on February 2nd, which is the day of the Grammy Award celebration. And very few people know that the only time that you come to know whether you won the Grammy Award or not is actually at the ceremony, when the celebrity opens the envelope. Until then, nobody knows who has actually won the Grammy Award. So that's a very nerve-wracking moment, sitting down in the audience and hoping that your name is called out. Right now, I'm just working on promoting Break of Dawn, because I believe that it's a very important album to reach out to people. I believe that there's a huge burden of mental health that the world is facing. And in order to purify the environment, we first have to purify our own minds. And that's the only way we can solve the environmental crisis, and we can solve all the crises that we face as a society. So I'm going to work very hard to promote the album so that it has its desired impact, and so that it reaches as many people, the message reaches as many people. And then once I feel that the album has had its desired impact and it's reached enough people, it's solved enough problems, then I will go on to working on my next album. For music, for Indian music to reach a global level, I would say that, I think first we as Indians need to embrace our own forms of music. I think that is the most important thing. Like for example, great personalities like Pandit Ravi Shankar, who have made Indian music popular all over the world and have broken cultural barriers, reached Indian classical music and pure traditional music to audiences that would normally never be exposed to Indian culture. So they are the flag bearers of Indian culture. Their music has been made popular all over the world. But then the thing is that in India, how many people have even listened to an album of Pandit Ravi Shankar? If you go to his Wikipedia page, he's made more than 70 albums. They are all available on streaming platforms. But why aren't we listening to that music? Why aren't we appreciating our own legends? Why aren't we going to enough Indian classical music concerts? Why are we stuck on mainstream film music? We need to appreciate our own cultural forms. There are so many tribal music forms across India which are dying right now, which are on the verge of extinction. Why aren't we supporting these forms? So unless we support these musical forms and our own traditional forms and are proud of our own traditional forms of music, it's impossible for us to mainstream it all over the world, even though these are the only forms of music that are popular and which are recognized all over the world. We need to go much larger into that space. We need to go headstrong into ensuring that Indian music becomes global, and the first step is to ensure that we ourselves appreciate our own traditional forms of music.